Part 61. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 619. Looking at the bodies of his team members with their necks pierced, Kralls reached out and took off the Chaos Hunter identification tag stuck to his chest. I will get it back from the Chaos Monster along with your share. After speaking, Kralls took the equipment and weapons from him, said keep moving forward and took the lead to move forward. After that, Kralls and others never encountered a large number of Chaos Monsters again, and successfully joined Kesar's team 3 minutes later. The number of people increased from the previous 4 to 7. Although 2 members of the team were injured, this did not affect their fighting. As the last 100 meters of the journey were crossed by Kralls and others, they finally entered the core area of the Chaos Hatchery. Compared to the previous flesh wall passages that stretched in all directions like a web, this place was unusually wide, and the huge beating organ hundreds of meters away was the target of Kralls and others. But before that, a large number of chaotic bodies were standing between them and the target. Among them, Kralls saw several animal-shaped chaotic bodies, as well as an unprecedented creature that was wrapped in solid bone armor and was more than 2 meters tall. The huge figure had 6 thick tentacles extending from its back, swaying in the air. At this moment, the other 3 teams have arrived in advance and are exchanging fire with this group of chaotic bodies. However, it is obvious that the appearance of the beast-shaped chaotic bodies has caused them a big loss. Judging from the fact that they are not full strength, they should have been reduced in number on the way. Among them, the tall Chaos body carried the hail of bullets and rushed towards the Chaos Hunter team. Although the bone armor on its surface was constantly cracked by bullets, it could not stop its footsteps. The group of Chaos Hunters who were suppressing the Chaos body with firepower quickly dispersed, and the blast guns in their hands never stopped firing. The special Chaos body that broke up the Chaos Hunter team was finally shattered by bullets from several blast guns. His fragile body was exposed. After a moment, he roared unwillingly and was beaten into pieces by the bullets. The arrival of the Kralls team was like a shot in the arm for the other Chaos warriors present. The firepower network that was originally in danger and could be broken through at any time, with the addition of 7 blast guns, instantly stabilized the front. After a while, the number of Chaos bodies in the core area was almost reduced, and the captains of other teams gestured to Kralls to move forward. The next moment, nearly 20 Chaos Hunters were covering each other and moving forward. Any Chaos body would be shot into a pile of rotten flesh before they could get close. It seems that your journey has not been smooth sailing. After cleaning up the surrounding chaotic bodies, the other 3 captains came to Kralls and Hazar and started talking. The other team members were on guard and quickly installed crystal bombs around them. As long as this place is blown up, the Chaos Hatchery will be paralyzed for a certain period of time, which can reduce the pressure of the Chaos body on the frontal battlefield, and this hatchery is by no means the only target of the Chaos Hunters. Stop talking, we encountered a sneak attack and lost 2 brothers. Kesar's tone was unhappy and full of gnashing of teeth. The other captains also agreed, but Kralls didn't have much interest in chatting. He looked around and asked, "Do you know where the hatched Chaos monster is? Why are there so few hatched pupae here? Logically speaking, there should be many. Don't make such a fuss. We killed a lot of Chaos bodies when we came in. Maybe we killed them all." Kralls did not let down his guard, and never put down the blaster in his hand. "Report to the captain that the installation is complete." A team member came to report, and Kralls immediately said to the other captains, "Once installed, move out immediately." After speaking, Kralls called the team members and Kesar to prepare to leave along the way they came. At this moment, the flesh wall suddenly bulged not far from Kralls and others, and then was torn open by something. An animal-shaped chaotic body with a body length of more than 3 meters, covered with carapace and lying on the ground appeared, roaring loudly towards the Chaos Hunters present. "Retreat quickly, Intercept fire and don't let it get close. Krolls immediately yelled that if such a big man was attached to him and scratched casually, he would be seriously injured even if he was not dead. The gunfire that originally stopped for a moment rang out again, but the animal-shaped chaotic body opened its mouth, and a pool of green liquid splashed out. A Chaos Hunter couldn't dodge and was completely drenched. The protective clothing and armor on his body were quickly corroded in an instant. He only had time to let out a few screams before the equipment on his body melted into a pool of liquid. Krall secretly screamed. It turned out to be a chaotic creature with long-range attack capabilities, or a new species that he had never encountered before. After killing one of its own enemies, this large animal-shaped chaotic body was also shot through part of its bone armor by a blaster gun, and had no choice but to retreat behind the torn flesh wall. Seeing this, neither Krolls nor the other team captains immediately turned around and ran towards the passage they came from, without any intention of pursuing or killing him. They have completed their mission, there is no need to fight with this chaotic body in such a small place. So they chased it all the way, just when Krolls thought he and the others had finally gotten rid of it. The wall of flesh above the head exploded violently, a tail like a whip blade fell down, and the two Chaos Hunter warriors flew out directly. Then the head of the large animal-shaped chaos body, covered by ferocious bone armor, protruded from the broken flesh wall, followed by his slender but not thin body. Krolls' eyes turned red when he saw this. If they continued to be entangled by it and attacked, they would only lose more people. Krolls had already realized in his heart that he would not retreat but advance. This specialized animal-shaped chaos body is a special chaos creature temporarily controlled and created by the Chaos Hatchery. In addition to having long-range attack methods, it also has powerful protection, speed, and strength. Krolls reached the body of the large animal-shaped chaotic body and pulled the trigger of the blaster. The blaster bullets at close range sent fragments of the bone armor on its surface into pieces, but the effect was not great. After the chaos body stretched out its sharp claws and grabbed one of its attacking chaos hunters into two pieces, it opened its mouth and spit out corrosive liquid at the warriors in front. As for Krolls, who was harassing it on the side, its response method was also very simple. Its slender tail swung slightly, and the next moment it stabbed Krolls like a sharp spear. Puff! Krolls' abdomen was penetrated, but he seemed not to feel the pain. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the tail of the chaos body that pierced him, and then roared and exerted force. The chaos body staggered, and the next moment it turned back angrily, opening its bloody mouth full of sharp teeth to bite Krolls. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 620. But at this time, a strong figure rushed from one side and knocked the head of the chaos body biting Krolls away. It was none other than the bearded Kessa. This was like a signal. When the surrounding Chaos Hunters saw that the blasters could not kill this special Chaos body in a short time, they gave up firing and swooped out one by one, grabbing the Chaos body's hind limbs, arms, neck, and other parts. For Chloris. For the goddess. The Chaos Hunter warriors roared angrily, and then, regardless of casualties, they finally restricted most of the Chaos body's ability to move. Krolls was thrown to the ground. He turned his head and looked at the struggling Chaos body, raising the blaster in his hand slightly. But due to the serious injury, the muzzle of the gun was trembling slightly. Krolls' upper and lower jaws were clenched together. Only in this way could his body squeeze out a trace of strength. Kaser! Open its mouth for me! Krolls yelled, then fell silent, trying to keep breathing and steady the trembling muzzle of the gun. Seeing his friend's current appearance, Kessa knew clearly what he was planning. Damn it, did you hear me? Open this beast's mouth for me. A Chaos Hunter warrior was thrown away, and the Chaos Hunter who kept firing at his legs immediately took up his position. The Chaos body kept shaking its body, trying to get rid of the deadbeats on it. Just when it opened its mouth to roar again, Kessa saw the opportunity, hugged its head, and jammed the blaster in his hand horizontally. Its mouth. Krals's breathing slowed down, and his vision began to blur due to his injuries. However, when the Chaos Body's head turned towards him, he pulled the trigger based on his deep feeling. Several consecutive gunshots rang out, and before that, several bullets had been fired from the muzzle of the gun, accurately entering the Chaos Body's mouth that was stuck by the gun body and could not be closed. The movement of the Chaos Body paused, and the strength of its struggle was greatly reduced. Blood mixed with the crushed flesh continued to flow out of its mouth. The blaster used by Kesar to block the Chaos Body's mouth was also hit by the bullet just now and was on the verge of being scrapped. Now it broke directly and was thrown away. After the Chaos Body threw Kesar away, it moved swayingly and finally fell to the ground with a plop. Its mouth opened and closed but did not die immediately. However, it is obvious that the central nervous system that controls the body should have been destroyed by Crocus's few shots, otherwise he would not be incapacitated like now, but he is not dead yet. The Chaos Hunter who was still active at the scene immediately stepped forward and inserted the muzzle of the gun into its still slightly open and closed mouth, and pulled the trigger mercilessly until his head was smashed. Kral's vision became increasingly blurry, and finally he only saw Kesar running over, and lost all meaning. "Brother, please hold on. We haven't gone back yet. I want to buy you a drink." Kesar ran over in a panic, and when he saw that Kral's had closed his eyes, he suddenly became anxious and began to talk nonsense. Finally, when he opened Kral's mask, he found that he was still breathing, but it was very weak. Kesar quickly called 2 soldiers to come over and help lift Kral's. At this time, the number of Chaos Bodies gradually increased. Kesar and other remaining Chaos Hunters retreated with the wounded while blocking the pursuit of Chaos Bodies. Finally, under the desperate resistance of 2 Chaos Hunters who voluntarily stayed behind, the remaining members of the Chaos Hunter team successfully evacuated the Chaos Hatchery. Finally, they reunited with other Chaos Hunter warriors outside who were responsible for blocking a large number of Chaos Bodies, and boarded the transport plane that came to pick them up. With a roar, the central area of the Chaos Hatchery expanded rapidly, and finally reached its limit and exploded from the inside, with large amounts of meat and liquid splashing everywhere. After the explosion subsided, a large hole of tens of meters appeared in the central area of the Chaos Hatchery, and a large number of internal structures were destroyed. The most important thing is that the organs in the core area have been damaged. The Chaos Incubator cannot repair itself. It can only recondensate new core organs from the Chaos Virus. Binghua no longer pays attention to the mission of the Chaos Hunters. Generally speaking, the Chaos Hunters are still elite, but their weapons and attack methods are too simple. Moreover, Chloris obviously has aircraft, so why not create an air combat unit that can provide fire support to support the Chaos Hunter troops? And compared with these technical difficulties, the physical fitness of Chloris warriors was too poor in Binghua's opinion, and he had no advantage at all in close combat with the Chaos Body. Thinking of this, a nerve in Binghua's mind jumped violently, and she thought of the modified warrior technology and the matching exoskeleton power armor that she had sealed in Ilal's. Well, this seems to work. After an unknown amount of time, Kral's regained consciousness again. He slowly opened his eyes, as if a switch had been turned on. The voices, breathing, footsteps, changes in light of the people around him, countless complex information poured into his mind in an instant. Kral's only felt as if his brain was about to burn out, but as time went on, this condition was lessening. "Where is this?" Kral's asked aloud. His eyes moved downward and he found that many parts of his body were connected to ducts with unknown functions. Consciousness has been successfully restored, and there are no problems with personality. It seems that the transformation technology is very successful. A plain but somehow divine female voice came into Kral's ears. He turned his head slightly and his pupils shrank slightly. There was a man wearing a white coat, with black hair hanging casually on his back. On that beautiful face that could never exist in the world, a pair of dark eyes were staring at the light screen in front of him, adjusting something. Chloris recognized who it was. It was the angel who saved him and the other Chaos Hunter warriors from that certain death battle. It was also the angel Chloris believed in today, the Ice Flower Goddess. Binghua looked at Kralls, who was struggling to get up on the metal platform with an excited expression, and spoke out to dissuade him. I know you're a little excited to see me, but your body hasn't been adjusted yet. If you still think of me as the goddess you believe in, then just lie down for me. When Kralls heard this, he immediately stopped struggling. He just felt that he was very lucky. He thought he would die in the mission of raiding the Chaos Hatchery, but he didn't expect to survive and meet the Ice Flower Goddess who once saved him. Binghua didn't feel anything special. She was not an angel who liked to put on airs, and she didn't have any pride in looking down on mortals. Binghua admires those heroes among mortals who persevere and eventually achieve great things. This is why Binghua helps those mortals with lofty ideals and great ambitions unify their own civilization. Now Hyuka is doing the same thing. She is creating a brand new existence, a new species that surpasses the limits of Kamigawa's mortal body and can be called superhuman. That is to say, the Chloris man named Carol's in front of him. Binghua verified all his understanding of the transformation warriors and the techniques he mastered on Kralls. Chloris will become the prototype of this new type of superhuman, and will also be the cornerstone of the subsequent fight against the Chaos virus by the Chrolesians. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 621. Kralls just lay quietly on the metal platform, observing the goddess Binghua constantly debugging the complex data on the virtual light curtain. At the same time, various liquids with unknown effects were injected into his body along the catheters. Kralls did not feel pain because he only felt that his physical condition was recovering rapidly. The feeling of weakness when he first woke up was quickly fading away. At the same time, Kralls also discovered that he could spontaneously filter the information collected by his senses and block out some information that he did not need. Binghua looked at the physical data of Kralls displayed in the data and nodded with satisfaction. After several hours of debugging, Kralls' body was restored to a level that could fight. It will take a few days to fully recover, and then it will take about several months to fully integrate the various artificial organs and enhancement components with the body, so that the functions of each artificial organ can be fully exerted. During this period, Kralls' body shape and physical condition will undergo certain changes, and Binghua feels it is necessary to inform the other party in advance. Binghua closed the light curtain, came not far away from Kralls and spoke to him. I will remove the connecting tubes and equipment from you in a moment, and you can leave here. As soon as Binghua finished speaking, Kralls found that the tubes connected to various parts of his body were disconnected and retracted back into the equipment above, and the platform he was lying on began to stand up above the ground. With a click, the ring that fixed the body was released at the next moment. Kralls raised his strong arms that were obviously larger than before he was unconscious. He didn't know it until he saw it before. But now Kralls discovered that not only his brain and senses had undergone changes, but his body had also undergone changes that he didn't know about. He couldn't understand what was going on. When you were brought to me, you were already breathing your last breath, and your internal organs were severely damaged. The most deadly thing is that you and the other wounded are infected with the Chaos virus, which is eroding your bodies from the wounds. In order to kill the Chaos virus, I can only use local killing and adaptive modification methods to keep you alive. But others were not as lucky as you, and they did not survive the adapted Chaos virus outbreak. Of all the injured Chaos hunters, only you survived. And successfully underwent all of my augmentation surgeries. Crowleys, this should be your name. You will find that you will become different from now on. Terms such as Superman and hero will accompany you throughout your life. Okay, you can leave and come back to me in a month. I have something to give you. After saying this, Binghua waved his hand to indicate that Kralls could leave, then turned around and entered the opened micro-wormhole. Although Kralls didn't understand some of the consciousness in the words of the Ice Flower Goddess, he understood one of them, and it was time for him to leave. After sending Kralls away, Binghua came to the research institute he established in Kralls. Binghua did not expect the changes that happened to Kralls at first. Binghua's expectation was simply to use transformation technology to allow Crowleys and others to survive the erosion of the chaos virus, but after all, the bodies of Crowleys were too fragile. Only some special changes occurred in Kroll's body, producing a new substance that inhibited the erosion of the chaos virus, and this allowed the transformation technology to succeed in him. Binghua immediately realized that this new substance in Krall's body was likely to be able to inhibit the erosion and infection of the chaos virus, so he immediately accurately modified it and implanted various artificial micro-organs with different functions to stabilize it. Took his vital signs. The changes in Chloris are not obvious yet, but they will be fully visible in a month. This will be a turning point in Chloris' war against the chaos virus. Prior to this, Binghua had designed a new weapons and equipment system based on Kroll's template, including firearms, melee weapons, armor, support vehicles, and transport aircraft. These Ice Flowers plan to design them personally, because if the Chaos Hunters force based on Kralls is successfully established, then this force will even have the ability to participate in interstellar wars. It can be said that the Chaos Hunter army is the first army that Binghua has put great effort into building in a civilization other than the Angel civilization. Binghua has high hopes for it. A month later, Kralls once again came to the research facility where Binghua was located. However, compared to a month ago, Kralls had changed dramatically today. The nearly 2-meter tall body is covered with streamlined and explosive muscle lines. Its posture is close to perfect, neither bloated nor thin. At the same time, its footsteps become extremely heavy when walking. Krolls looked at everything in the institute. There was no change here, but Krolls was filled with sighs in his heart. Everything that happened this month is still vivid in his mind. His height began to grow rapidly, his appetite also increased greatly, and his diet even contains special metal elements. In contrast, his strength and agility, including resistance to blows and impact, have improved dramatically. What he is today is different from what he was before the injury. And Kralls had a hunch that this was just the beginning. His body was far from reaching its limit, but the deadline agreed with the Ice Flower Goddess had been reached, so Kralls came here. Just when Kralls was looking around for the Ice Flower Goddess, a familiar voice came from behind. It was the Ice Flower Goddess he was looking for unsuccessfully. "Hail to you, Goddess!" Krolls immediately half knelt down and performed a great ceremony, which represented the highest etiquette in Chloris culture. Binghua did not dodge and just asked him to get up quickly. After taking a look at Kralls' changes and his increased height, Binghua nodded with satisfaction. "Yes, the results are similar to my calculations. It seems that there will be no rejection reaction." After saying that, Binghua waved his hand and opened one side of the wall of the research room, revealing a passage. Binghua took the lead and stepped into it, motioning for Krolls to follow. A piece of armor that is nearly 3 meters high, with a main color of silver gray and a very heroic and handsome appearance is quietly listed on the equipment rack. The various parts filled with mysterious patterns engraved on the bevel, as well as the weapons placed aside that looked more like cannons than firearms, and a sword with mysterious words engraved on the blade, firmly attracted Krolls' attention. Seeing the fascination on Kralls' face, Binghua also felt a small sense of accomplishment in her heart. Most of the weapons she set up in Tiancheng were often judged by Hexi as useless. Now I can finally show off my talents in front of outsiders. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 622. This armor can be said to be specially designed for crawls, and the reason is based on the anti-third generation super soldier armor and the product of modified warrior armor. With an extremely precise nerve connection conduction system and a powerful shock-resistant and shock-absorbing structural layer, plus a series of auxiliary functions such as life support, it is not inferior to the technological content of a miniature spacecraft. When this armor and Krall's powerful body are matched together, it's not as simple as 1 + 1 wind equals 2. After fully growing up, Kralls can even compete with second-generation super soldiers who kill some civilizations after wearing this armor. Binghua has such confidence in his creation, and only with this kind of fighting power can he be involved in the war to build a divine civilization, otherwise he will be no different from cannon fodder. Of course, Krall's armor is a prototype, and it is inevitable that there are some aspects that exceed the ordinary specifications. Although the official mass-produced model does not have as complete functions as this armor, it still has what it should have. Go up and try it. It will be yours from today on. Binghua's calm voice reached Krall's ears, and he suddenly felt as if he was in a dream. In the end, he overcame the excitement in his heart and stepped forward step by step to the front of the armor. After seeing Krall's arriving at the equipment area, Binghua gave the automatic dressing command to start dressing. The next moment, the armor parts that were originally scattered into various parts were lifted up by the force field and accurately buckled on Krall's body. First there is the neural lining like a tight-fitting combat suit, then an impact-resistant layer, then each functional module, and finally the thick outer armor. When everything was completed, Krall's vision dimmed and then lit up again. A text message in an unknown language popped out of his vision, and then it immediately changed into the familiar Krall's text. Debugging the system and connecting neurons. The armor is solidifying and environmental information is being collected. The armor parts on Krall's body began to tighten. There were originally some gaps in some places, but now they have become completely close-fitting. Now let's start the final self-check. Every system is normal. The Chaos Hunter auxiliary system is online, everything is ready and ready to attack at any time. Chloris moved his armor and felt extremely sensitive, as if he was controlling his own body. At the same time, whenever Chloris observed something in his field of vision, its basic information would pop up immediately. Kralls then picked up the sword and firearms on the side and looked through them, and a message popped up in his field of vision. Thermal Blade and Blaster Type 2 have very simple and straightforward names. When Binghua saw Kralls picking up the weapon, he spoke again and gave a rough explanation. The gun you have in your hand is an upgraded model of the Type 1 blaster. There are two types of ammunition. The first is a penetrating bullet, and the second is a bursting bullet filled with crystal blocks inside. Of course, there are also the most commonly used blaster warheads, but the caliber of the thing in your hand is larger, and its power is several times that of ordinary blaster guns. As for the thermal sword Binghua, there was no introduction. Just by looking at the name, you can tell what its killing principle is. For chaotic bodies, ultra-high temperature is also one of their nemesis. And the most important thing is that Kralls is stuck at the upper limit of the materials that the material printer can print, maximizing the performance of the material printer. The only flaw is that the armor on Chloris cannot be used by ordinary Chloris because it places too much strain on the body. Only a super Chloris with a superhuman physique like Chloris can wear it for fierce battles. Otherwise, after a battle, the armor is not damaged, but the driver inside will die suddenly because the nerves cannot be overloaded. Goddess Iceflower, thank you for your gift, and thank you for your kindness to Chloris. From now on, I will fight only for you, Goddess. Wherever your sword points, even death cannot stop my progress. Binghua didn't pay much attention to Kralls' oath. After all, she had seen a lot of the holy left wing. Okay, Kralls, what awaits you next will be an endless war. Until the chaos virus is eradicated from Chloris, carnage and death will be your constant companions. Since you call me a goddess, I will give you a blessing. May you become the opening blade of Chloris and cut through all the difficulties that stand in front of Chloris. Chloris was greatly moved when he heard the words of the ice flower goddess. Although he didn't see her many times, every time the goddess he believed in taught them how to fight for their own civilization. This kind of god has never been seen by Krolls, whether in books or legends. But little do you know, goddess, that you who saved Chloris are our hope and the dawn we protect. Therefore, I am willing to be the sharp blade in your hands, goddess. No matter how powerful the enemy is, I am willing to kill it for you, even if the sword destroys and kills people. After Chloris left with the new armor, Binghua did not stay in the research institute for a long time. Instead, he left the core area where Chloris was and came to the urban area of Chloris alone. Compared with the core area of Chloris, which can maintain basic order, the living environment of civilians outside the core area is undoubtedly much worse. Maintaining order here basically relies on the weapons in the hands of soldiers, otherwise crimes such as robbery, intentional wounding, and violations will become rare and common. Along the way, Binghua saw almost no civilians with smiling faces. Most of them had tired and numb faces, with no hope for the future in their expressions. This is also normal. Once Chloris retreats from the war with the chaos virus, countless people will become the blood food and nutrition of the chaos body every time he retreats. It is understandable that the people lose confidence in the future, and it is very simple to alleviate this emotion, that is, a big victory, a complete victory, telling everyone that Chloris still has hope of victory. It has been 2 months since Binghua came to Chloris. Currently, Chloris, with the support of the production capacity provided by the material printer, is quickly replacing blasters, finally stabilizing the defense line and preventing the chaos body from continuing to break through. Moreover, within the Chloris Military Research Institute, a large number of new equipment are being designed, and test machines are being produced for experiments. Under the influence of Hyuka, Chloris new equipment is biased towards the combat mode of Kamigawa's technological system. Combat is carried out through the cooperation of vehicles, heavy firepower, and infantry. This is the combat mode of most technological civilizations under Angel's banner. Chloris is currently moving in this direction. One type of tank has already been tested and Binghua went to see it. It's a bit hard to describe, but it makes sense considering Chloris has never seen a weapon of this type before. They designed a vehicle nearly 10 meters long, equipped with more than 6 cannons and more than 8 fixed blaster fire support equipment. It is fully explained that the multi-turret cult is the only first choice for powerful firepower at any time. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 623. While Lokri was upgrading its armaments and replacing them with new weapons, the Chaos virus was also destroyed by Chaos Hunter troops in several Chaos incubation factories. The Chaos virus felt threatened and began to erode the planet at a faster rate. At the same time, the Chaos creatures were strengthened as a result. Instead of concentrating all its energy on the erosion of the planet, a new type of chaotic body with a stronger body, faster speed, stronger strength, and thicker biomass armor began to slowly appear on the frontal battlefield. Not only that, specialized chaotic bodies have also begun to appear in chaotic bodies, such as fortresses that are up to 4 meters tall, more than 6 meters long, and covered with thick regenerative material armor. The Spitter, who is not fast and has a bloated body, can throw corrosive liquids 200 to 300 meters away. And a Vanguard who is humanoid and has 4 blade legs, is covered in strong horn armor, and can charge with violent bullets. At the same time, a tail appeared in the sky, which could spray corrosive liquid and looked like an insect. All this put Chloris' defense line in danger for a while, but soon Chloris Military Industrial Research Institute developed targeted weapons. The first is the incinerator chariot, which is used to clean up clusters of chaotic bodies. It is equipped with a particle flow flamethrower. Any chaotic body that enters its range will only end up being turned into coke. Then there was the erasure tank developed to fight special targets. It was equipped with a turret with an extremely long barrel that could fire new penetrating implosion rounds. The penetrating implosion bomb was a design blueprint provided by Binghua. It could not be miniaturized despite Chloris' technological level, so it could only be mounted on a tank and used to snipe some powerful special chaotic creatures. Then there are the multi-barreled anti-aircraft weapons developed to target the new chaotic bodies in the air. They have 3 times the rate of fire of conventional blast guns and can fire out a large number of bullets in an instant. It has a total of 3 models and calibers. One is a light type used on the first front-line battlefield. Its ammunition caliber is the same as that of conventional blasters, and it can be barely operated by a single person. The second type needs to be fixed on a platform in advance for use. It is the main force against chaotic air units. Its caliber is nearly twice larger than that of conventional blast guns. The last one is a vehicle-mounted model, which is installed on a mobile vehicle and has a larger caliber and faster rate of fire. It is prepared for more powerful aerial chaotic creatures that may appear in the future. At the same time, it can also be used as a battlefield support unit, covering the battlefield with its terrifying firepower, effectively attacking and clearing groups of chaotic creatures, and supporting the infantry on the front line. Although all of this rapid development is inseparable from Binghua's guidance and dissemination of knowledge and theory, it is also due to the unique environment of Chloris planet and its extremely special crystal veins. This was able to support Chloris' rapidly developing technology. The era when Chloris was pressed to the ground and rubbed by the Chaos Body was gone forever. Chloris and the Chaos Body have now entered a stalemate stage, and during this stage, the Chaos Hunters ushered in their first major army build-up. With Binghua's secret support, the Chloris Council unconditionally approved the Chaos Hunters' army-building plan, and a large amount of resources were directed towards this plan. There is the existence of Chloris, the prototype of Chloris Superman, and Binghua is constantly cheating on the side through angel technology. The first Chaos Hunters chapter appeared. All members underwent genetic physical enhancement surgery using Krolls as a template, and were equipped with Chaos Hunter Type I armor in batches. The leader of the chapter was Krolls himself. At the same time, the second batch of Chloris youths totaling more than 1,000 people are undergoing transformation, and the third batch of Chloris executives plan to increase the number to 10,000 people. After completing the transformation, the Chaos Hunter warriors were more powerful than the imagination of Chloris senior officials. Then they yelled with red eyes to continue to expand the army, and they must expand the army greatly. Whoever stops them will be Chloris' enemy. Binghua originally thought that these high-level politicians would be afraid of and want to control this powerful military force, thus inhibiting the rapid expansion of the Chaos Hunters. But Binghua had forgotten that Chloris was on the verge of national annihilation to a certain extent before, and those who could come to power at this time were all tough hawks. Weapons that are too powerful to control do not exist in their eyes. It doesn't matter whether they can control them or not, as long as they can hit people. Binghua was also very satisfied with the decision of the top management of Chloris, and gave the blueprint of the material printer to the Chloris people without any hesitation. At this point, the Chloris civilization can use the material printer to replicate the material printer. With rich veins of energy crystals, super productivity several levels beyond the level of civilization, and advanced knowledge theories, Chloris' army soon began to emerge with a series of technologies that could be called black technology in their civilization. It also became the first army under Binghua's command to leapfrog from a pre-nuclear civilization to an aerospace-grade civilization in just a few years. Among them, the most prominent members of the Chloris army are the Chaos Hunters. Each of their members has the terrifying strength of 100. These Super Chloris are wearing indestructible armor and armed with powerful blaster gun Type 2. Any chaotic body will end up being turned into pieces in front of them. Even the terrifying corrosiveness and infectivity of the Chaos virus are of little use to these super soldiers. The body of a Chaos Hunter warrior modified from Krall's prototype will turn into a special substance that can inhibit the activity of Chaos viruses and even devour them to alleviate or even immunize against the threat of Chaos infection. Binghua also gradually gave up intervening in the Chloris civilization and quietly watched its development from a high place. Chloris people generally believe that this is a noble quality that can only be possessed by the goddess, which means that the goddess does not help them in order to control Chloris. The goddess helped Chloris out of trouble when she was in trouble. Now that Chloris has the strength to stand up on his own and punch the enemies who once bullied him, the goddess is like a mother, gently watching her child struggle forward from behind. 3 years have passed, and Kralls has grown from being 1.9 meters tall to a demigod who is over 2 meters tall, close to 2.5 meters tall. This is the honorific title that the Chloris people give to Krolls, a warrior who is lucky enough to be favored by God, even though Krolls has repeatedly emphasized that the changes in his body are the result of technological transformation. But no Chloris civilians believed this statement. They believed that Chloris had obtained the blood of God given by the goddess and became the legendary demigod. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain Krall's strong body, which can be called a giant, and his powerful power that can fight the special chaotic body. The most important thing is that the goddess did not come forward to clarify. The real situation is that Binghua has an indifferent attitude towards these things. In addition, he is currently conquering energy solidification technology and has been staying in his research institute for several months. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 624. On the avenue of the new capital of Chloris, cheering people replaced the numb people 2 years ago. As the combat effectiveness of Chloris' army gradually increased, a large amount of land originally occupied by the Chaos body was regained by Chloris. This move gave the people of Chloris new hope. They no longer despaired, and no longer muddle along numbly. They began to work actively and actively complete various instructions issued by the parliament. A large number of Chloris youths also began to join the army. They no longer waited for death in despair, but took pride in becoming a Chaos Hunter. After 3 years of development, the size of the Chaos Hunters chapter has exceeded 1,000, and most of them are elites drawn from the grassroots warriors and joined after undergoing transformation. However, as the chapter leader, Kralls has been gradually reducing his plans to recruit chapter members from the defense force, because most of the chapter members recruited from the Crowley's defense force will retain the habits of the original army. It is difficult to keep up with the fast fighting habit of the Chaos Hunter troops, and it is more difficult for these veterans to change this habit formed over time than to climb to the sky. In this case, it is better to recruit recruits with a blank sheet of paper and quickly become qualified members of the Chaos Hunters through the virtual simulation training machine provided by the goddess. And the first batch of nearly 2,000 Chaos Hunter members, composed of new recruits, will join the army in the near future. One of the purposes of Krall's trip was to accept new people. In 3 years, Kralls has transformed from a warrior to a commander-type warrior. He is at the forefront of every battle, which makes his reputation even higher. At the same time, because of his identity and folk legends, Crowleys also entered the core power level of Crowleys. This time he came back from the front line to attend an extremely important meeting, and he did not bring many Chaos Hunter brothers with him. 3 years have passed before I knew it. Looking back now, it's a bit unreal. Kaysar, who was following Krolls but only reached his chest in height, sighed at the beginning. This strong Chorus warrior, after being strengthened by the transformed warrior, had been unhappy that he was a generation below him, and at the same time he was also dissatisfied with himself. The problem of height bothers me. All this is the result of the goddess. She saved Chloris from despair and gave us new life. Regarding Kroll's answer, Kessa nodded in agreement. All the Chaos Hunters agreed with this point. Before the arrival of the goddess, they did not have the strong body and the armor that protects them now. The main reason for being a generation lower is that the Transformation Warrior is a technology developed based on Kroll's. It can be said that without Kroll's, there would be no Chaos Hunter today. The members of the Chaos Hunters who have undergone transformation surgery are equivalent to having part of Kroll's bloodline genes implanted in their bodies, and have part of their genetic information. Although Chloris culture is not too optimistic about this, it makes outsiders think that these Chaos Hunters are warriors with the blood of Chloris demigods. Therefore, the first batch of Chaos Hunters who were Kroll's comrades were very reluctant, but in order to obtain enough power to fight against the Chaos body, they endured it. But what they couldn't bear was that Kroll's, the prototype of the Chaos Hunter, was much more powerful than them, and at the same time, he was even more impressive in height. When Kroll's led them to fight, there was always a sense of déjà vu, like an old father taking care of his children. However, as the number of members in the battle group increased, this reluctance gradually disappeared due to the division of troops. The first batch of Chaos Hunters are now the captains of each 5-man team. At the same time, every 20 teams are organized into a company for easy command. Each company is equipped with 5 air shuttles, 5 Chaos multifunctional support tanks, and a varying number of small fire support platforms and battlefield supply vehicles. This greatly improves the frontal combat effectiveness and sustained combat capabilities of the Chaos Hunter, plus its rapid deployment capabilities. Today's Chaos Hunters have only one goal, which is to destroy the Chaos Incubator to the greatest extent possible, reduce its productivity, and thus attack its vitality. Due to the lack of powerful physical bodies, the chaotic creatures are slightly behind Chloris in terms of military strength improvement. So far, no super chaotic body has emerged that can withstand the Chaos Hunter troops. As Chloris arrived at the conference hall, a major meeting for Chloris to decide future strategies began in this old hall. When these Chloris people held a meeting, Binghua took some time to listen and then left. Now Chloris is being raised by Binghua. Binghua feels a little excited about what the civilization will develop into after the Chaos body is eliminated. Her current research on energy solidification has made a breakthrough and will soon be successful. By then, Binghua will have mastered the technology of artificially synthesizing solid-state energy, which will be a leap forward. You must know that the energy currently used by the angel civilization is only a large amount of stellar radiation that fills the universe. If solid-state energy synthesis technology is available, some of the technologies of the angel civilization can be improved, and some giant equipment can be miniaturized. At the same time, it can also affect another research on ice blooms in disguised form, microstar driving technology. Solid-state energy technology is also a type of energy compression, and the biggest problem currently facing microstar drives is how to compress the huge energy of stars into the size of a fireball in the palm of your hand. Just when Binghua was doing her research with peace of mind, something happened that disrupted all her research plans. The insurance she left on Qi was activated, which meant that Qi had died. This made Binghua's heart skip a beat and she no longer cared about the so-called research. It has now been more than 150 years since she left Elis. During this period, she and Qi would contact each other every few years to talk about what they had seen and heard. And Qi will also tell Binghua everything she has done in Ilals. 50 years ago, Qi said that she had achieved her goal of establishing Ilals. There was no one on Ilals. No more deaths from starvation, no more wars. Qi said that she was leading the people of Ilals towards the stars and the sea. She believed that Binghua would be able to see her in the starry sky in the near future, and Binghua was sincerely looking forward to that day. Now Kai's sudden death must have happened. After Binghua said hello to Chloris senior management, he rushed directly into the sky and came to the Tianjian small spacecraft he placed on a satellite. Immediately, the spacecraft entered the jump state directly with Erols as the target and sailed towards him. Chloris senior management was a little worried about Binghua's sudden departure. Without the protection of the goddess Binghua, they were deeply afraid of something happening to the Chaos virus. The Hawks who originally advocated counterattack against the Chaos virus also had to consider the consequences of the situation getting out of control. Only Kroll supported the counterattack plan against all the opinions in the audience. Everyone, do we have to give up our counterattack because the goddess is no longer watching us? When did we Chloris people become so timid? Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 625. In the end, facing the strength of Krolls and the support of some hardliners in the parliament, a strategy to counterattack the Chaos body was formulated. The reason why Krolls insisted on the counter-offensive strategy was because from so many years of war with the Chaos body, he saw that the Chaos body showed no signs of being at a disadvantage. Moreover, Krolls also obtained some Chaos virus information recorded by angels from the goddess. Chaos virus has extremely strong evolutionary capabilities and can adapt to the environment and evolve at a high speed. Therefore, Krolls' idea is to eliminate and compress the sphere of influence of the Chaos virus as soon as possible, and his confidence is the Chaos Hunters chapter he leads. Use Chaos Hunters as the vanguard to eliminate the Chaos incubator of the Chaos virus, weakening the Chaos body's military advantage, and then launch a general attack through the current Chloris defense force to reduce the Chaos body's scope of activity and reduce its ability to obtain resources. Now the size of the Chaos Hunter chapter has exceeded 1,000 people. With the assistance of the defense force, it can attack multiple Chaos hatchery at the same time. In this way, when the Chaos body is unable to succeed, Chloris can rely on strategic advantages to completely expel the Chaos body virus from Chloris land before they enter the next stage of evolution. While Chloris was carrying out his own counter-offensive strategy, Binghua had arrived near the star of Ilals. Compared to the desolate starry sky 100 years ago, Ilals has now entered a post-nuclear civilization. In addition to the Ilals star, Ilals has also established an exploration base on its nearby satellites. However, now all have been destroyed. At the same time, there is an additional space fleet heading towards the direction of the star Illos, with a silver-gray color and a formation of different sizes but extremely neatly arranged. Coupled with their continuous dropping of microfighters towards the planet's atmosphere, all this shows that they are enemies of the invasion of Ilals. But Binghua recognized the owner of this metal fleet, which was the Eternal Ascended One who had had a major conflict with the angels. The familiar Purifier flagship, plus a dozen attached Annihilator warships, are obviously a small Purifier fleet, and its purpose is probably to find and clean up the Chaos virus. Of course, if a living planet is encountered during this period, the Eternal Ascended Ones will be happy to carry out the so-called mechanical ascension for it and transform it into a data life belonging to them. Just as Binghua was recalling various information about the Eternal Ascended Ones in his mind, a locked alarm sounded from the Tianjian spaceship. A high-intensity target has been discovered and its information is being scanned. The information has been confirmed: Angel Civilization, Angel King. After the Eternal Ascended One confirmed Binghua's information, he released all his carrier-based fighters without mercy. The various escort warships in the fleet also aimed their guns at Binghua's vehicle. The attitude of the Eternal Ascendants of the angelic civilization is very simple, that is, to completely eliminate it. This stems from the fact that the angels once destroyed their high-sequence unit, the destroyer Star Fortress. Since then, the Eternal Ascended One has listed angels as enemies, but because angels are too powerful in the known universe. In addition, the main area of activity of the Eternal Ascended Ones is in the Chaos Star Sea, so there has never been a large-scale invasion of the known universe. But now they suddenly encountered the Angel King of the Angel Civilization in their own territory. After the Purifier uploaded it to Samilo, the Supreme Intelligence, he immediately received the erasure order from Samilo. But soon the command hub of the Purifier fleet, the intelligent life in the Purifier battleship, discovered that they seemed to have made a wrong decision. Just like the dazzling light of stars blooming in the universe, the terrifying high-temperature radiation destroyed a large number of Eliminator fighters. Binghua held the flaming sword and launched a great trial to clean up the large number of miscellaneous soldiers who came to harass him, and then rushed straight to the central Purifier flagship of the Purifier fleet. Binghua, who also knows something about the Eternal Ascended One, also knows that as long as the Purifier flagship as the hub is destroyed, the Eternal Ascending One's command system will fall into chaos for a certain period of time, and it will take a certain amount of time to recover. During this period, the combat effectiveness of the Eternal Ascended Machine Army will drop to its lowest point in history. Many parts of the Star Blade of Destruction appeared, turning into metal storms that stirred the starry sky, cutting the Annihilator battleships that blocked her along the way into broken wrecks. Binghua approached the Purifier flagship at the fastest speed. The flaming sword in his hand turned into the seven-killing King sword at some point, and slashed out a giant energy slash with a length of more than 10 meters. It passed by the Purifier battleship and triggered its energy shield. Seeing this, Binghua directly approached its energy shield, activated the dark energy cutting King sword in his hand, and easily cut through its shield. The Purifier's flagship was helpless against Binghua's actions and could only direct all its turrets at Binghua and pour out firepower. But Binghua just fanned her wings and slightly adjusted her flight trajectory, relying on her powerful computing power to predict, and she avoided almost 90% of the artillery fire. Those she couldn't avoid were destroyed by the energy slash she wielded. Binghua stepped on the hull of the Purifier flagship with both feet, holding the King's sword in his hand upside down and violently piercing the metal hull under his feet. The flame-bombing driving formula has been imported. The next moment, blazing energy exploded inside the body of the Purifier's flagship centered at Binghua's feet. A large number of its internal components were destroyed and it was instantly paralyzed in place. This is the destructive power of gods in interstellar wars. If there are no means of restraint and targeting, and a war god like Binghua is allowed to approach the fleet will be as defenseless as a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Binghua then spent some time destroying all the surrounding Annihilator battleships, and then stopped his movements and quietly suspended among the wreckage of the broken battleships. She read some of the remaining information inside the Purifier flagship and knew that she was on the Eternal Ascended's blacklist, which was why they attacked her as soon as they saw her. Unfortunately, all the intelligent AI lives in the surrounding fleet, including the Purifiers, were automatically uploaded to the unknown headquarters of the Eternal Ascended civilization after the hull was destroyed. This made Binghua feel a little regretful, and at the same time he was also a little worried. The location of the Alal star was completely exposed. And because of the existence of the Angel King who was recorded on his short list by the Eternal Ascended One, the Eternal Ascending One might soon send a larger fleet to strangle him. His arrival this time not only failed to solve Ilal's problem, but brought a greater crisis to Ilal's. However, these are only minor issues for the time being. The primary issue is to find Qi, recover the electronic soul storage unit in him, and investigate the cause of Kai's death. Thinking that this ice flower was no longer staying, he turned around and immediately flew towards Erols. After a while, he reached the atmosphere of Erols, and then dived towards the surface of the planet. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 626. In the royal capital of Elares, in front of the tomb of the Eternal Queen, which was being built, a large number of El-Ral senior officials lined up on both sides in front of the royal tomb, looking at the metal coffin carried by soldiers in the middle of the aisle. What lies inside is the Eternal Queen Qi who leads Alals from chaos to order, and from ignorance to wisdom. She is like the sun of Alals, shining on all the people of Alals. Under the leadership of the Blazing Queen, the people of Erol seem to be living in a utopia. There are still some old people who vaguely remember the poverty of Erols when they were young. But now the Alal's people have become the real masters of the planet under their feet, and even the stars in the sky are about to be conquered by them. But the Eternal Ascended One that suddenly attacked became the sword of Damocles above the heads of the Alal's people. At first, the Blazing Queen wanted to communicate with the eternal biochemists and get along well with this unknown civilization that suddenly came to visit. The Eternal Ascendants also agreed to contact Alals. But what no one expected was that the condition for peaceful coexistence was that the Alal's people had to abandon their flesh and blood bodies, perform the so-called sublimation ceremony, and become eternal mechanical life forms. Queen Chi felt that there was definitely something wrong with this, and at the same time, she disapproved of Alal's becoming a so-called mechanical life form, because Chi saw true eternity in her sister Binghua, rather than the so-called achievement of eternity with a metal body. But at that time, some people in Alal's were confused by the so-called eternity. Even the Blazing Queen could not make everyone think rationally. In the end, a small number of Alal's people betrayed the eternal Queen Chi and took refuge in the Eternal Ascended Ones to participate in the so-called sublimation ceremony. And these traitors have also met their due end. The so-called sublimation ceremony is to digitize the thinking personality of an intelligent life form, and imprint it with Samilo, the purification protocol of the Eternal Ascended Host, and copy it to the machine. In the body. Although the new bodies are powerful and immortal, even if they are destroyed, their mind data will be automatically uploaded to the nearest eliminator or purifier battleship for rebirth. However, although they have gained an almost eternal life, this comes at a price. These traitors will also become slaves and cannon fodder of the Eternal Ascendant forever. They will not be able to control their own life and death, their freedom will be restricted, and they will feel castrated. They will always be accompanied by cold metal bodies. Their only mission is to destroy all enemies of the Eternal Ascended Ones. Then the war began, and the Eternal Ascended Ones dispatched their eternal mechanical army, and began to invade and destroy the city of Alals, and capture the civilians and soldiers of Alals. The decision of the Eternal Ascended One is simple. Since these flesh and blood beings are not willing to become eternal mechanical beings, there is no need to respect their self-will. In order to prevent the chaos virus from continuing to grow, the Eternal Ascended Ones decided to transform these Alolsians who were unwilling to participate in the sublimation ceremony into Eliminator combat soldiers who retained only the most basic self-awareness. Naturally, Chi couldn't sit back and watch his people being slaughtered, so he brazenly led Alal's army to attack. However, to the dismay of the Alal's people, even the Eternal Queen Chi failed to defeat the Eternal Ascended One. Since Alal's was unified by Chi, there have been almost no large-scale wars. Although this has allowed the people of Alal's to live in a stable and peaceful environment, the lack of threats from external factors has led to its military strength is not strong. However, there is only one troop accepted, and that is the Eternal Queen's personal guards, which is a secret force that the Eternal Queen spent hundreds of years building. Each member is a being who can be called a Super Alolsian. They hold the most sophisticated weapons of Alals and receive the most brutal training. They are a super legion that can fight 1 against 100. It was their desperate fighting that prevented Alals from being directly pushed aside by the mechanical army of the Eternal Ascended Ones. At the same time, this also stimulated the rapid growth of Alal's military technology. The remains of the Eternal Ascended were recovered by Elrose, and were quickly reverse-engineered by Elrose Blazing Queen's exclusive scientific research team to produce many technologies that could be called black technology. Errol's military and technology ushered in a period of great blowout, and a large number of new weapons and equipment were given to the Errol's army, which had experienced brutal wars. The crippled Queen's guards were finally able to retire and recuperate. Their casualties were extremely huge, with no one left in 100. This cruel war was also called the Bloody War by the Alal's people. The reason why it was called this name was because the victory in this war was made of the flesh, blood, and corpses of the Alal's people. The Eternal Ascended Ones, who had the mechanical army on the ground repulsed by the Alals, had doubts about the civilization of this planet that could master the technology of transforming warriors beyond their own. So the Purifier flagship of the Eternal Ascended applied for permission to manufacture mechanical warriors from the host Samilo through remote data transmission, intending to capture the leader of the civilization to investigate the cause. Mechanical warriors are a scientific research project that the Eternal Ascenders have only begun to perfect and establish in the past 10,000 years. The reason why the project was established is also related to the angelic civilization. The Eternal Ascended One once suffered a big loss from the angel civilization of the known universe. A high-sequence destroyer fortress collapsed in the Angel Nebula. The reason for its failure was that it did not have a strong individual combat unit, which caused the destroyer fortress to be destroyed from within. Before the Eternal Ascended One encountered the angel civilization, they had not encountered a civilization with such powerful individual combat capabilities and good at high mobility breakthrough operations, so they lacked combat units in this area. Therefore, since then, the Eternal Ascended One has begun to make up for its shortcomings in this area, and I don't know if it is a coincidence that the template of its mechanical warrior is the angel that made it suffer a big loss in the first place. However, there is a big difference. Because it is a mechanical structure, the wings are composed of several flying wings of varying lengths. The body is not equipped with bionic skin due to aesthetic issues, but is instead equipped with solid alloy buffer armor. At the same time, mechanical warriors are divided into several levels due to different materials and technologies. The Purifier fleet located near the Star of Ilals only applies for the lowest level mechanical warriors, the kind that can be spontaneously produced within the ship. Chi fell under the attack of the mechanical warriors, but in the end the Purifier fleet failed to achieve its goal. Kai's bodyguards paid hundreds of casualties and finally succeeded in preserving Queen Kai's body. The 10 mechanical warriors who attacked the Blazing Queen remained in the royal capital of Ilals forever, and their remains were recovered by the scientific researchers of the Guards Regiment for reverse engineering. However, Ilals was not happy at all, because the great eternal Blazing Queen had fallen and could no longer protect them or guide them. The plan failed and the Purifier fleet that planned to personally destroy the capital of Ilals was unfortunately encountered by Binghua, who rushed back and was wiped out. By accident, Binghua inadvertently solved the crisis of death for Ilals. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 627. In the royal capital of Ilals, the people of Ilals had just sent the Eternal Queen to her royal tomb and were mourning outside. A thunderbolt broke through the sky, swooped down and stopped violently above the king's tomb, causing a turbulent wave of air. The people below thought that the mechanical warriors were attacking again, and they all went into battle preparation. The soldiers who were originally standing guard, wearing gorgeous armor and holding guns and swords, moved instantly. They immediately spread out a distance from each other, or hid behind a nearby bunker, raising their weapons and pointing at the two wings on their backs in the sky. Silhouette. If it weren't for the opponent's beautiful face and clothing representing creatures, or with the wings on his back, these personal guards of the Blazing Queen would attack him to avenge the Blazing Queen. Binghua looked at the scene and understood what happened even without using the dark information reading. He sighed secretly and had no intention of going down to communicate with the Ilals people. He stretched out his hand and the Titan's grip appeared attached to his left arm, and the next moment the surging force field energy spread out. The king's tomb, which had not yet completed its final sealing, suddenly began to shake, and even the ground trembled slightly. Seeing this, some Ilals people ran away in fear. In the end, the dome of the king's tomb was directly lifted up by invisible force, and some internal structures also floated into the air. Finally, a metal coffin was dragged up from the king's tomb by invisible force. Seeing that the guards of the Eternal Queen below were still able to bear it, it was already their greatest shame that the Blazing Queen was killed under their protection. Now, someone dared to steal the body of the blazing queen in front of her. How could this not frighten them? Feeling angry. But it is a pity that how can the power of mortals compete with gods? Although Binghua is not a real god, he is still in existence with the name of God. Only a small amount of the force field energy was released, which hindered the Alal's warriors who wanted to step forward to snatch the blazing coffin. In the end, the people of Alal's could only watch Binghua rising into the sky with the blazing coffin and disappearing from the sight of all the people of Alal's. The floating internal structure of the king's tomb fell back to its original position, and finally the suspended dome of the king's tomb also fell, making a dull and loud noise before returning to its original state. The divine peak of Elrose is located, and this is the research institute sealed by Binghua. After leaving Elrose Star, Binghua handed over the authority here to Qi. This is also the basis for Kai's exclusive scientific research team to quickly reverse engineer the technology of the Eternal Ascender, and it is also the reason why Qi can build a powerful bodyguard army based on itself. Without the assistance of the equipment and advanced instruments here, Qi would not be able to create a personal guard regiment based on himself through research on himself. And this place was also named after the divine peak by Erols, but no one can understand the meaning behind this name. I am afraid that only the blazing queen in the entire Erols knows the implications of this name. Through his own authority, Binghua passed through a hidden door and entered the deepest area inside the institute. Binghua was not open to Qi here because there were many experimental instruments that could not be used by the Alal's people. Turning on the energy supply in the research room, the darkness in the originally dark research room suddenly disappeared and it became bright. The metal coffin that was lifted in by the force field was opened, revealing Qi, who was wearing a gorgeous dress inside. In addition to her face being a little paler, there was a touch of majesty as a queen between her eyebrows. It was not the same as Kai's change more than 100 years ago. Big. Binghua stretched out his hand to touch Kai's pale face, and there was a look of distress on his face. At the same time, he felt lucky in his heart for his previous actions of leaving Kai's insurance. At the same time, Binghua also made a decision, which was to promote this electronic soul storage technology in the angel civilization, so that these heroic angel warriors could be reborn just by recycling the electronic soul storage units after the war. Of course, with the size of Merlot Heaven, the electronic soul can also be uploaded simultaneously and instantly. In this way, both physical storage and instant upload will be combined, and the angel warrior will become an immortal existence. This is similar to the alternative rebirth of the World Eater God. If you want to intercept or prevent angels from being reborn through electronic souls, you must have stronger technology than angels and more powerful celestial computer technology. You must also crush them. Angelic supercomputing from Kesha's treasury of sacred knowledge. The stasis force field was activated, and the force field below dragged Kai's body up, and then the fingernail-sized electronic soul storage unit located in Kai's central nervous system was easily taken out by Binghua. Then the metal wall on the side opened to reveal a small space inside. Binghua placed the electronic soul storage unit in it, and then the wall closed. A projected light screen appeared, and a line of angelic text appeared on it. Reading electronic soul information and starting to build electronic soul body. The air blurred for a moment, and a familiar figure from Binghua appeared. It was Qi in a costume, exactly like Qi who was dragged in the air by a force field. Qi only felt that he was trapped in eternal darkness, and the last images in his mind were the muzzles of the mechanical warriors pointing at him and pouring out blazing light, and the personal guards rushing toward him with expressions of grief and indignation. I don't know how long she had been in the darkness, but when she felt that her thinking was about to stagnate, a light appeared quietly, and her thinking started to work again, gaining the ability to think. What am I doing? So this is the world after death. Her body had no feedback to the outside world, she couldn't feel hot or cold, and her sense of touch and smell were all lost, until a very familiar voice with a hint of apology came to her ears. Qi, I'm late back. Chi was suddenly stunned. She looked towards the direction where the sound came from, and saw Sister Binghua, whom she had not seen for more than 100 years, standing there, with a look of surprise on her face. The worries about Ilal's in her heart disappeared in an instant, and she quickly ran towards Binghua, wanting to fall into the arms full of security, but the next moment that made Kai's heart feel cold was that she passed directly through Binghua's body. What am I? Chi looked at his somewhat illusory palm, his body trembling slightly, and Binghua quickly explained. Chi, don't worry. You are just in a special state now. You have no body for the time being. You will be able to return to your previous appearance soon. After a while, Chi finally calmed down, and after adding Binghua's narration, he understood his current situation. Chi came to his body and looked at the familiar face that he had seen countless times in the mirror, feeling a little melancholy in his heart. Chi didn't expect that her death would be so useless, and it had nothing to do with the vigorous death she expected. To be beheaded by a group of mechanical warriors in the palace was simply a great shame and humiliation. By the way, Sister Binghua, is this also your ability? Can people live in the real world in soul form? Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 628. Binghua, who was debugging data and preparing to make a new body for Qi, said helplessly when he heard that he was a little far away. I seem to have told you since I was a child that I am not the omniscient and omnipotent God in your legends. What you think of my abilities and divine power are the result of the development of technology to a certain level. As long as technology develops to a certain level, even the current Ilal's people can possess abilities that you considered miraculous in the past. When Qi heard the words, he stuck out his tongue in embarrassment, as if his sister Binghua had said this before. Okay, your new body will be completed in 1 day, and then you will be reborn. But before that I have some bad news for you. Ellers is expected to be in irresistible danger. Binghua sighed as he spoke. Seeing this, Qi quickly asked why, and Binghua told him that he destroyed the Purifier fleet and was on the blacklist of the Eternal Ascended. Compared to Binghua's worry that the Eternal Ascended ones might attack at any time, Qi was even more surprised that the mechanical army he had led his personal guards to resist for a long time was just the Eliminator cannon fodder for the Eternal Ascending one's lowest combat order. This makes Qi a little bit unacceptable. Are the sacrifices and prices paid by the Ilal's people so far all in vain? Binghua is also thinking about how to prevent Ilal's from being destroyed by the Eternal Ascended One. Binghua is not worried about her own safety. Even if he cannot defeat her, he can still run away. The fact that angels have interstellar navigation and survivability is not just talk. Today's angel wings have been improved many times by He-11 and have many auxiliary functions. They can even fly at the speed of light or even faster than light. However, the only thing needed is a relatively long acceleration time and concentrated energy. Otherwise, with the strength of a single angel, it would not be able to immediately enter the speed of light or even fly faster than the speed of light. After thinking about it for a while, Binghua hated the feeling of running away without a fight. The Ilal's people were too fragile in the war of advanced civilizations. As long as a Purifier flagship launched a purification operation against the Ilal's planet, the Ilal's people will be destroyed. Not to mention that there must be more than one Purifier fleet coming to encircle and suppress him, and that is to kill him. I believe that the Eternal Ascended One will not be so stupid. In the end, Binghua suppressed his thought that it would be a big deal to fight the Eternal Sublimator, and looked at Qi who was wandering around the research institute and said aloud. Qi, can you gather all the people of Ilal's? Qi Vinyan, who was bored and using the characteristics of his electronic soul body to shuttle around the alloy walls at will to observe the internal structure of the equipment, quickly raised his head and answered. Yes, it's easy, my will is Ilal's will. Sister Binghua, I have been the Queen of Elleries for so long. If I didn't even have this little control, I would have been kicked out a long time ago. Chi stretched out his finger, pointed at himself and said confidently. Only then did Chi have the confidence of being a civilized king. But the next moment, Binghua just said one word, and Kai's face fell. Oh, then how come I heard that some people in Ilals have defected to the Eternal Ascended Ones? Is there something wrong with my dark information reading? Binghua said with a half-smile. Chi blushed and defended. That's just that their hearts are not firm enough, that's right. They were deceived by the Eternal Ascendant, that's right. After Chi said this, he immediately ignored the topic and began to care about Binghua's method to prevent the Ilals people from being destroyed by the possible arrival of the Eternal Ascended One. Binghua rubbed his brows and said, I already have a way, but this requires the cooperation of you Ilals people. Let's wait until your body is finished tomorrow. If everything goes well, then Ilals will continue to exist and return home again sooner or later. If it doesn't go well, I can only take you away from this planet and wander to other star fields. The next day, Chi successfully entered her new body through the electronic soul transfer device. This body was almost the same as her previous one. However, there are many internal changes, that is, Binghua added angel genes to Chi Xin's body, which will slowly transform Chi into an angel until he becomes a real angel. This is the most stable and safest way to use time to reduce the side effects of angel gene fusion. Qi Shang doesn't know all of this. All she knew was that she was alive again, and that Errol's would have their eternal queen back. When Qi appeared in the sight of the Ilal's people again, everyone was in disbelief, but Kai's identity was soon confirmed by the Guards Corps. Immediately, Ilals fell into a state of joy. Ilals, which had begun to appear chaotic, quickly returned to stability. A large number of opportunists were humanely destroyed by Kai's iron-blooded means. Errols recovered from the chaos caused by Wang Yu at a miraculous speed. At the same time, rumors about Qi Queen being the God-chosen king also began to spread among the people, because the shocking scene caused by Binghua taking Kai's coffin away that day was witnessed by half of the people in the royal capital, and now there is no doubt that Qi Queen is resurrected. This is further proved. Kai's first order to return to the throne poured cold water on the celebrating Ilal's people. She did not hide the news about her people's eternal ascended ones, but chose to tell everything. At the same time, everyone on the planet Ilals was gathered in the direction of the royal capital. For this reason, both the military and civilian transportation forces were involved. Abandoning all the family property and paying homage, all they had to do was transport the people over. Of course, there were a few who were unwilling to cooperate, but Qi did not force it. Although Qi wanted to build an utopia where everyone could have enough food, clothing, and peaceful coexistence, her 100 years on the throne had given her the determination of a king. Now is the time to race against time. We must not put the entire Ilals into a crisis of destruction because of some people who cannot see the situation clearly. When the time came to the day agreed with Binghua, Qi sat on his throne quietly and waited a little uneasily. At present, Ilals had made all the preparations he could. A large number of transport spacecraft parts capable of aerospace within the planetary system were printed using material printers, and they were assembled day and night through the efforts of the whole country. Some were finally manufactured, but they were still far from being able to transport all the people of Ilals. Far from enough. That's why Shike was so worried until the royal capital of Ilals was covered by a shadow. As the churning sky was violently broken open, a golden battleship that covered the sky entered the atmosphere of Ilals and arrived at the royal capital. Above. It was clearly Binghua's flagship in the Merlot Heavenly Court, a super celestial class heavenly blade battleship equipped with the heavenly sword computing cloud, the heavenly sword.